Charles, your first, off season coming off being a head coach. At the end of last season, you spoke about some of the things that you wanted to do to take your coaching to another level. What were some of the things this summer that you did as you went back and kind of reflected on your first season that you're hoping to build on going into year two?
Great question. First, I'll just say thank you to all you guys for being here. It's exciting to be back up here for year two. Definitely don't take this opportunity for granted. And different scene than we had last year for Media Day, but Queens has been phenomenal to us, and we are very grateful that they've kind of opened their doors and allowed us to kind of continue to work and continue to have these type of opportunities. But the offseason's been really good, really productive. It's given me an opportunity to, number one, just reflect on last year. I think that there were so many lessons learned. There were so many positives that came from a 19-win season. But obviously, we want to be better than that. I want to be better than that. I think there was a lot of situational basketball that I was able to learn from. I think that I was also able to see I'm really kind of prepared for anything. I think our team is prepared for anything. Our whole organization is just resilient, and I saw it in every game last year, competing to the fullest, finding ways to be flexible. With all the injuries and all the things that kind of just happened. But we turn the page. We look forward after reflecting from those lessons learned. And it's been great to see, I think, the progress that our whole team and organization has made. I think that we had a really good draft. I think that we had a great free agency signings that are going to continue to help our team. I think we did some trades that help not only like the front office side of things, but also the basketball side of things. I was able to take some time with our coaching staff and sit down and look at where are the areas that we can get better. There's a ton of growth opportunities, I think, from our team. I thought that we made really good strides defensively. When we had most of our group out there, we hovered around the middle of the pack in the NBA when it came to defensive efficiency, and so we want to see that improve. We set like a little bit of a baseline, a standard, and then now we have to try to exceed that standard in year two. Offensively, there'll be some things that we try to do a little bit differently this year in terms of, I thought that I sat up here very often and said we want to play faster, and some of the systems and some of the strategies in which that we kind of implemented our offensive philosophy, we tweaked. And so I look forward to seeing if we can actually play a little bit faster this year and help defenders get off of our body and help create some earlier advantages in the shot clock, help us get to better actions. But that was a lot of it. Building relationships with the players, dissecting our defense, dissecting our offense, and reflecting on last year.
Hello, Charles.
How you doing?
Your big buzzword / mantra was Hornets DNA last year. Going into your second campaign, how much more of that do you feel you're building, not just with the returning players, but also with the guys you brought in this offseason? Yeah,
I would say it's not even a mantra. It's a lifestyle that we try to implement around here, and we live it out every day. But I think that we grew. We grew stronger. We grew more together. We grew more competitive. I think that the guys that we have returning understand the importance of what our daily improvement has to look like, what it looks like in terms of being consistent competitors, no matter what the stakes are or no matter what's going on around us. How do we just use some of our Hornets DNA lifestyle tools in order to get through some of the adversity that's going to come during the season. And it's no surprise, like every team goes through it. Some obviously more adversity than others, but that's the game of basketball. That's life. And I think that just we're better equipped now, having gone through what we did last year. And like you said, even the returning players, the players that we have coming in from whether it be the draft or free agency or trade, those guys have been through things too. And I think that they're all mature, competitive individuals that are going to help add to our group.
And I know that an NBA season is very rarely linear, but what are some of the immediate things that are on your mind, questions you want answered, lineup and rotation questions you want answered as you go through training camp, get to the start of the season? What is foremost in your mind in terms of what you're looking to have answered here during these next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I would say that it should be a very fun, exciting, competitive training camp with the guys that we have on this roster. The front office did a phenomenal job, I think, of putting this group together, watching how they've worked during the offseason, really just gets me excited because I think that every possession matters to them, every day matters to them, and so it'll be cool to see how things start to kind of play out as we get to practice now. The thing that I'm just most looking forward to see is will we sustain all of our efforts? Will we sustain all of our communication that we have right now, all of our togetherness? Because once the heat of the battle starts and the wins and losses starts going up in those columns, all of a sudden, there's some teams where you start to see you fray or you don't fall back on your habits. And so that's why I'm so into every day just building winning habits, building the togetherness and the competitiveness. And I want to make sure that our team sustains it throughout the whole season.
You mentioned playing faster. Like, how do you plan to go about doing that? And how's the personnel you guys have on this team going to allow you to be better, play faster this season?
Yeah, I think that we have great guard depth, number one. I think we have a ton of playmakers, a lot of guys that are going to be able to get a piece of the paint. And so trying to allow these guys, number one, to get quicker inbounds. I thought that last year, whether it was after a made or missed basket, our initial thrust wasn't quick enough. And so we've talked about it a ton in terms of playing with the pass a lot more, advancing the ball. The quickest way for the ball to get up the court is with the pass and not the dribble. And so trusting one another is going to be a big emphasis, I think, in the offense even more. And everyone running with purpose now. And I think that our guards so far, as they've done a lot of their offseason workouts and stuff, are dedicated to trying to get themselves in better condition, but also just having that next play mentality of like, how are we moving to the next play and how are we utilizing each other and making everybody a threat on the court. And then knowing that ball is probably going to come back at the end of a clock for one of our best playmakers to play pick and roll or to have to create in an ISO situation.
And then Jeff mentioned how the guys have been around all summer. Just the players have been here. Said he hasn't seen that kind of, camaraderie in his years in the NBA. How is that going to help you guys move forward, do you think? And what's your thoughts on that, the guys being here pretty much all summer working out?
Yeah, it's a special thing to see, Rod. I've been in the NBA now for a while, and I've been on a lot of veteran teams, and so you play so deep into the NBA schedule that not a lot of those guys end up coming back to market because of how long you played. And I just think that it's a testament to our guys' care factor. It's a testament to their overall daily improvement, the lifestyle of a Hornet, and wanting to be around each other, to support each other, to celebrate each other. It's a really special thing, and I think it's going to help us in the thick of the season when we know we're all we got. Because you're my friend right now, but you're probably not going to talk to me after we start playing games. But we are literally all we have in that locker room. So it's good to see these guys just start to build bonds and start to learn one another on and off the court.
Charles, all three of your bigs, Kalkbrenner, Diabate, Plumlee, very distinct in the way they play defense, and maybe does that make it more challenging for you to install your defensive schemes and knowing that the other four guys around them might have to change the way that they play depending on the center that's out there?
Yeah, it's a great point. We have a great group of bigs, I would say, which is really exciting to me because we can play a lot of different ways with these three guys. And unfortunately, Mason won't be here today for an excused personal absence. But when he is here, he's going to bring an element of high basketball IQ. I think he's going to help us protect the paint at a high level, which is what we're all about first and foremost. And then with his experience, I think that he has such a good feel for just player tendencies and understanding how high to be in a pick and roll, how low to be in a pick and roll. He helps with the physicality of the game, too, in terms of being able to play straight post-up guys on top of being able to switch a little bit. I think he's a lot more mobile than people realize, and so excited to use him in a lot of different ways. But then, like you said, Musa, his best coverage is usually when he's switching. We've been able to move him around the floor. I think it'll be important once we get into a lot of those switching coverages, to your point, with him away from the basket, who's going to help us still protect the paint. That is one thing that we have to, I think, dive into a little bit more, knowing that he'll play a lot more this year. And then Kalkbrenner, we got to see his competitiveness at Creighton and also in Summer League. The dude has just got such great instincts. Reminds me a lot of Brook Lopez in terms of his ability to just survey the floor and understand where to be and how to get there in enough time. And then a fearlessness to just go block everything at the rim and be a deterrent.
Coach, Jeff Peterson talked about how you had a lot of leaders on your team. with LaMelo's injuries recently, it's hard to be a leader when you're sitting on the bench. How important is it for him to become kind of the unquestioned leader of this team? Because that's kind of historically where all-star players go.
Yeah, for sure. I would actually say, yes, Melo is going to make strides as a leader, but everyone on this team has an ability to be a leader in a lot of different facets. And the thing that Melo has shown me during my time here now is that he wants to lead even if he's not on the court. And so that was something I saw last year from him and Brandon specifically, is when they weren't playing, they were still engaged. They were still trying to find a way to help a teammate and pass during a drill or watching film with those guys. And so I appreciate the fact that even though they're hurt, their leadership doesn't stop. It's also one of those things where you can lead by example. When you're in there doing your rehab program or whatever it is in the weight room or in the training room or your workouts, you can set a tone that way too. And so I think that his leadership expands to when he's on the court and not off the court. And I look forward to this year, him taking another step with his leadership. The communication that he's had with his guys this year, there just feels like there's so much more depth there's so much more depth in what he's even saying. Before it might have been, hey, let's try not to turn this ball over. Now I see that there's the light bulbs going off in terms of, hey, let's get to this action more. It'll help us not turn the ball over, or let's not put ourselves in this position. So I think that he's just seeing and understanding the game a lot better, and he's going to be able to carry that over to the regular season.
Some of the things you said about playing quicker, advancing the ball with the pass, kind of feel like how Indiana played last year on their way to the finals. Were there any specific things that you took away from watching Indiana and Oklahoma City play in the finals this year?
Yeah, it took away that I want to be there, and we will be there in due time. But the thing that's really cool about that Indiana team, to your point, is just the ball movement. I think that the ability to make everybody a threat on the court is really important. No matter if they're an all-star or they're a role player, when you play with that type of pace and speed and willingness to pass the ball, you make everybody a threat, and it's really hard to guard. And I see a lot of that in our team in terms of we have some great individual talent with some really good pieces around it that can shoot the ball, can drive the ball, and as long as we kind of trust that infrastructure, we can get high-quality shots. And then on top of that, we were one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league. Obviously Moose is at the forefront of that, but our whole team, I think, is just relentless on trying to get more possessions and win that possession game. So, yes, we saw a little bit of what Indiana could do and how that can take you to a finals appearance. And hopefully we can take small pieces of that and try to implement it with our team.
Charles, a two-player question. One with Khan. How do you see him fitting offensively, and how is he going to make the other players better when he's on the court? And two, with Brandon, I watched a lot of him at Alabama, and I know the second half of the season he was going to the basket a lot. He was running their offense, too, at times. And I haven't seen as much of that with the Hornets, and I was wondering if you see that being something he does more of also in the future.
Yeah, it's a great question. So if I mess up the second half, please let me know. But we'll start with Khan. And I think that he's going to bring a level of just added competitiveness to this group. It was really cool to watch him in Summer League. Early on, we're trying to be cautious with his body. We're still trying to learn him. And, we didn't let him play in one of the back-to-backs, and he was furious with me. And so that type of will to just want to play at all moments, to be out there, to compete, he gets stitches over his eye. And I don't know if he should play or not play. He gets cleared. He's like, I'm playing, and I'm putting a headband on. And so I think he just relishes the opportunity to play in every game and do whatever he can to help the team. He's got a true winning spirit to him. I think that he's going to immediately add the ability to stretch the floor for us. He shoots it really well. He can shoot it really quick. He understands spacing really well. But I also think that he can put the ball on the floor a little bit. So when run off the three-point line, he can make the right decision and the right passes. And he's got a knack for being able to get fouled as well. And then defensively, I think that we got to see him in Summer League just lay it on the line. There's a couple possessions where guys try to drive him. He embraces the fact that people are going to try to go at him. He's a rookie, and some think that maybe he can't guard, and so they're going to go at him, and he embraces it. And I love that about him. And so there's a winning mentality in Khan that I think is undeniable. And so excited for him to join the group and bring that to our group. And then Brandon, on the other hand, I think to your point, he ran a lot of the offense, or was able to get to the basket in college, and college is a little bit different than the NBA, so the bodies that he sees and the game is different. But I saw a ton of growth in Brandon last year in terms of changing his shot profile. I think that he limited the mid-range jumper, got to a few more threes, was also able to get to the basket last year a little bit better. I think now he's just got to finish at a higher clip and get himself either fouled or convert some of those baskets. But I think that we're seeing the evolution of Brandon, and he can score at all three levels. And I look forward to this year him trying to show, look forward to him being back out on the court to be able to show that he can do it at all three levels. And I trust him definitely to be able to do it at a high clip.
Charles, talking about another guard, Trey Man, obviously excited he's back for this season. What was it like figuring out he would be back with this team, and what kind of role do you envision for him? At times last year we saw him close games, be that spark plug off the bench. Obviously a small sample size, but what do you envision for him this year?
Yeah, tricky Trey. I'm so glad that we were able to re-sign him. He's a joy to have in the building. I think that he's just another guy that understands his value to our team on and off the court. He's got like the best personality, and he's able to connect with a lot of different players, and then all of a sudden that connection I think translates to the court because it seems like every pickup game he's in or whatever he does, he's winning it, and the guys really rally around him, and so it'll be good to have him back out there. He lifts our spirits. As you saw last year, I think he took a step defensively and took on some matchups. He was able to finish some games for us. And like really just take pride on that side of the court. And it didn't take 2 or 3 possessions last year, I thought. When I came in, I said, Trey, I know you can guard, but sometimes it takes for the other person to score on you once or twice, or you to pick up a foul for you to finally get that fire. And I just saw it happen a lot faster last year. And then offensively, he's so dynamic. He's one of the best catch-and-shoot guys that we have on our team. Just need him to actually want to catch and shoot it a little bit more instead of put it down. And dribble, but then he's also in a pick and roll situation, able to create, I think, for himself and for his teammates. And so to be able to have that dynamic where he can play off the ball and play with Melo, or he can play on the ball and not have a Melo on the floor, I think just gives you a lot of versatility.
Charles, back to Brandon. You mentioned his engagement when he was out with the injury. I'm curious specifically what you saw from him and when you saw that sort of click in for him. And is there anything that he can take out of stepping to the side for a little bit and just maybe watching the game for a little bit?
Yeah, I think whenever you have to step back and take a breather, you gain like newfound joy to be back out there, to be able to compete, to play the game that you love. He's been playing for so long, and he's such a good player that it's tough every day to come into a building and have to be relegated to just lifting weights or just being on the training table. And so I think the more that he also got exposed to the court, it excited him. It got him one step closer to being back to something that he really loves. And so I see a newfound love in Brandon, a newfound competitive spirit in him. I think the other part of being away is you're away from your teammates in terms of being able to compete like down in the trenches with them. And you got to watch some of your guys go through some hardships. And so he did a great job, number one, of like watching film with guys. There was times where he would watch a game, pick a couple clips, and he'd sit down. I remember specifically like Nick Smith Jr. He sat down with Nick, showed him a couple clips, I think some good, these are some teaching moments, and then he came over to me afterwards and was like, Coach, you got a hard job. I just told him not to do that in this type of situation. And I was like, good. I'm glad you get a feel for what we go through as coaches. But he took on that responsibility. He took ownership of it. He wanted to help the team in any way. And I think that the thing that we try to tell these guys sometimes where they're hurt is like, don't focus on what you can't do. Focus on what you can do. And there's other ways to still impact the team.
Good morning, Charles. So you guys traded for Pat Connaughton in July, who you've spent time with in the past during your tenure in Milwaukee. Looking at the roster and the rotation, what are the expectations for Pat through training camp, the preseason, and potentially the regular season?
Yeah, I would say the expectations are for him to come in and be a pro, and he's won a championship, and I think that he understands what it takes to win at the highest level. And so anything that he can give to our team on and off the court in those areas that are ultimately going to help us get to where we want to be, it's going to be impactful. He has a phenomenal way of building relationships with players, and I've already seen it in his time here. And, most guys, when he speaks, they're all ears because he also backs it up on the court, in the weight room, on the training tables. Like, he's just a true pro. He's a joy to have around here, and I think that he's going to give our team a ton. And so the expectation is for him to just come in and be a pro and compete every freaking day.
Coach, player like Colin Sexton, how has he integrated into the group and gotten comfortable and, build that chemistry with players like Melo, Brandon, who are all like ball dominant guards?
Yeah, Collins, he's been like unbelievable since he's gotten here. The transition's been seamless. We're all about daily improvement, and Colin is about daily improvement as well. And so it's like a perfect marriage. He comes in every day hungry, curious, excited to work. He just absolutely loves this game, and I can tell he loves his teammates too. He's come in and he's already bonded with a bunch of the guys, and he's earned their respect from Jump Street. I think that it's because of how consistent he is with his just routines and habits, and then it's also his consistent competitiveness. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a shooting drill. It doesn't matter if it's a pickup game. It doesn't matter if it's who can say the first thing that comes to their mind. Whatever it is, he's competing. And I think that the guys just recognize that. They love that about him. And so he brings this dog to our group that they've really embraced. And so I've loved the impact that he's had, I think, just on our whole culture and on our team as well so far.
It was reported a few months ago that you added Kyle Neptune to your coaching staff. You played against him in college. What was the scouting report on him then, and what is the scouting report on him now? What is he going to bring to you on your bench?
I love that. You really just took me back to a Lehigh Bucknell game where I was destroying him. But he did a great job of playing mental mind games with me, though. So that's where he turned up my competitiveness. But the scouting report was defender, average shooter, great offensive rebounder, and trash talker. And all those things, though, helped his team win. And, they were always super competitive in the league. We always felt like we had to go through Lehigh. But watching his coaching career, he's done a phenomenal job, I think, at every stop he's gone to. He's been a really good assistant coach at Villanova. He goes and takes over a team at Fordham, and I think he helps build up that program during a COVID time. And so it's really impressive what he's got to do there. And then he goes to Villanova and takes over for one of the, greatest college basketball coaches of all time. And so there's always extra pressure being at Nova and then having to follow a guy like that. And I think that he carved out his own identity in that situation, and he did as best of a job as he could. So we're excited to have him. I think he brings some intangibles to our staff that's going to help us, and also just some creative juices coming from college and doing things a little bit of a different way. So I love a different perspective, and we just need more great people in the building too, and he's one of those great people and great coaches.
Patriot League throwback. Morning, Charles. You talked about his leadership a little bit, but what has Melo done in the offseason, in the weight room, to be a little bit sturdier, kind of make him last a full season, to be that superstar you guys signed him to be?
Yeah, I think that, props to our performance staff. They've laid out a really good plan for him. It's been even more detailed in terms of goals for him to obtain. And I think that he's checked off a ton of those goals in the weight room. I've noticed just a different commitment level in that area. And I think that he saw it last year, as most of our guys did experience, having to be out there sometimes without Miles, without Brandon on the court. Melo noticed that he's always drawing, obviously, the best defender, the most physical defender, and at times they made it difficult on him. And so I think this year adding that weight room piece for him was really important. He committed to it, to himself, and then I think that our performance staff kind of just held him accountable to it, and they put a lot of goals along the way. I think that he's increased his lean muscle mass, he's increased his weight, and so I'm really excited about the progress that he made there. No, that would be a great question for our performance staff. I don't want to misquote it. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Thanks, Coach. Thank you, guys.